What have folks been playing this past week?
I think Janet and I have a new obsession.
Clair Obscur.
Clair Obscur Expedition. Are we calling it Clair Obscur?
Oh, Patrick's French era truly has begun.
It is.
Yes.
We calling it Expedition 33?
Bonjour. No.
Clair.
Patrice, mon ami, tell me. You must tell me of this Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
I've been calling it Clair
You're
Obscur.
playing it in French with subtitles, right? The way it was originally.
Wait.
I just feel like the voice acting sounds better when it's in French. No, okay. Just the...
Sometimes it's like fucked up, but I can't believe I'm bringing this up again. I would argue the Hellsing anime is a little bit better in English than it is in Japanese.
The touchstone
No,
for
we're
all
back to
conversations,
Hellsing. It happens.
about VO or I've been playing in English.
Hey, Rob keeps bringing up Hellsing every episode. That's really getting distracting.
Why does Rob keep bringing up the awkwardly horny? And look, I'm
Look, I mean, you throw a dart at anime in the 90s, you're gonna hit a fucking awkwardly horny one.
yeah.
And awkward is just in the eye of the beholder, right?
Even the ones you don't think it was horny, right? Like you're like Escaflowne's fine. That doesn't have any weird stuff. No, dude. Like every single character is like, I want to fuck this teenager from Earth, and it's like a 40-year-old man, and you're like, oh shit, I totally
But
forgot that. Like,
it still rules. The other parts of it are great.
Yeah.
I swear.
Sometimes you gotta separate the art from the art. You know, it's like.
How else can we live?
Jesus.
yeah. Anyway, though,
What's Clair Obscur
let's
Expedition
be
33,
open.
Patrick?
Let's stop
What
being
is this game?
Puritans. Let's embrace the French mindset. Be open-minded about this. Patrick, tell me of Expedition 33.
So Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a heavily JRPG-inspired role-playing game made by, I think, predominantly a bunch of ex-Ubisoft French developers from a studio called Sandfall. From the top, please stop falling for the narrative. This was made by 30 people. It is a smaller team. Look at the credits. You can look them up on Moby Games. They're easy to find. Like, a lot of outsourcing involved. It's a different scale. But like, please.
No, but this is a bit like when that Hood Horse game we're talking about,
Solo Dev.
Bannerlords.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, no. This isn't like I outsourced. This is not I went into the woods and like hewed a cabin out of like the stone and timber around me. Like this is, they didn't Minecraft together a game.
No, the funny part
Yeah.
is, like, this last came up with a game that Cado and I just played. We did a stream for Ludonaricon, which is happening this week, and Remap's done some partnerships with them. But there's a game called Scrabdackle. It's a really cool top-down, kind of like a Zelda-ish, a Zelda 1-ish game where there's kind of like a non-linear world for you to explore as you play.
Open world.
Yeah, as he plays this wizard, and Cado and I are really charmed by it. Cado's playing a demo of it, and I was like, I'm gonna look up a little more, but like, what's this game? When's it coming out? What can I point people towards? And like, it's like, well, this game's been developed for 5 years, and the developer has been putting out like very detailed Kickstarter updates every couple of months, and they truly are. They're like, so this month, I animated 124 different sprites, like breaks down, like I am scripting this, writing this, doing the mute, like it truly is like a guy. He's like,
a guy.
This might take an entire 10 years because it's hard to do everything by yourself. All to say that it's a turn-based, kind of fantasy RPG set in a world where, man, if you think you're interested in this game at all, I do want to just say right up front, like, just don't know what the premise is. Like, I knew very little about the premise and just experienced the prologue of this game, which hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was like, am I about to cry in the first 20 minutes of this game where I didn't know anything about it?
No.
It's a world in which there's a godlike figure called the Paintress, and in this world there is a sort of a cataclysmic event. The Paintress appears, and every year the Paintress, who be painting, takes a number down. And that, you all right, Cado?
No.
Oh my god!
And that
I
number
almost did a spit take.
refers to how long the people in this world get to live. before they die. And Expedition 33 refers to the expedition of 33-year-olds who are in their last year of life are going to go out, attempt to defeat the Paintress, like undo whatever is happening here, and like and reverse the like eternal decay that is happening to their society 1 year at a time. And the opening to this game is like this really beautiful moment where you're introduced to this world. It's actually like very cagey about what's going on and the nature of things. I found it like really moving and wonderful and like a really powerful opening to a game that I didn't really have a ton of expectations for. And then you get into it, and it's a really beautiful, excellent turn-based game in which its combat system is. I was recommending it to Cado a little bit because I know you like parries. I know you like Sekiro. This game is not entirely, but like heavily. Like doing counters, blocking, dodging, parrying is a huge part of the combat system. I have found this to be beautiful, wildly entertaining, well written. It's kind of hitting on all cylinders for me. It's like I've spent 11 hours playing this in the last couple of days, and I like cannot look. I'm like all I'm looking forward to every night is like putting in a couple more hours with this game. It is truly kind of taken me by surprise. I have a long history with JRPGs. That's one of the genres that sort of got me into video games, like as a art form, past just I like Mario running across the screen, and I still do. But like what got me into thinking about stories was like Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger and games like that. And so this is an excellent, not just one of those. It's heavily inspired, but it really is doing its own thing, and it's tremendous. Janet, how's it treated you so far?
I'm also just like hooked on this game, and Chia, I think the other thing you'll like about it is it feels like big board game nerd, card game nerd energy. Like I playing this game, so yeah, I'm obsessed with this game. I think I'm maybe 17, 18 hours in, and I largely started it at launch. Like I think I played 2 hours before launch, and then I was like, okay, I'll save it for stream, because I was like, I didn't have a podcast deadline for it. So I was like, okay, I'll just stream it for people, and then I'll play after that. We'll see where things go. The criticisms I do have of the game, of which there are weirdly, I don't know if I'd say a lot. I think the navigation and the exploration in this game is hell on earth.
Oh, I'm too good to have a mini map. Shut the fuck up. Like
yeah,
obscure,
there's no mini map.
Wow.
And
they've addressed
so
this
I think,
ahead of the launch. Like we're
okay,
purposely not putting in a mini map because our level design and exploring the towns, it's going to be so good. You're gonna know where to go.
no,
so
bro, it's
good.
not.
And no, it's not. And no, I don't. Like I just got enough money that I know I can go talk to the shopkeeper and get the rest of like the little upgrade items that I want. Where is that shopkeeper? Cut to 20 minutes of just going in circles trying to find this shop.
Also, a lot of so like we'll probably swing back to talk more about the navigation, but I don't want to.
Yeah. I don't wanna
only leave
derail
the negatives because I love so much of the. Yeah, so we will swing back, I think, and talk more about the navigation hellscape, because so much of the level design too. It's not that wide of a game, it is like kind of like if we had that wide linear, never really caught on, but like this isn't even wide linear. It's like slightly wider linear. It's like there's a couple corridors to go down. I think it's bigger than the level design in something like a South of Midnight, but it's not like massive.
And I think
and so many of the corridors.
I consider the like very discreet. Like you're going into an area, there'll be a couple of spokes you can go down, but otherwise we're kind of going forward and we're fighting at I plus for me, but I can imagine
that would be a plus if we just went for. But there's a lot of like winding corridors where I'm like, this area is the side section. Nope, this is the main pet. Wait, I'm back where I start. Like I'm turned around. I'm going to Isaiah. Isaiah, wait, you're a few hours ahead. Where is progress? It's like, oh, it's down. No, wait, oh no, it's down the other way. So there's a lot of that, and I think that it's definitely a significant ding for me. But I will say, the more I've played and the more the systems have continued to charm me, the more I'm like, I hate to say it, I guess I don't really care that much. I'll eat around the navigation. Yep. I don't care because, and I still think it's worth noting and talking about, and that it's part of like the critical lens of discussing this game, but like the combat is phenomenal. I think this game is so great at the synergy between abilities, because people who have been listening for a while might know that I'm not a parry person. and I only dodge because I need to get out of the way. Like if it's up to me.
When you message me, like, sometimes Jan and I talk in advance, like because our tastes overlap so much, and when you told me that one, we will at some point talk about Lost Records, like part 2. Jan and I both made the decision that our hearts were taken by another. We didn't finish tape 1 and feel like we really needed to get tape 2 right away. So we will play that, finish it, and we'll give you our thoughts on how it ends up. But the fact that you told me you were equally charmed by Clair Obscur, and one thought I had in my head, which I didn't want to ask about because I wanted to save for the podcast, was like, wow, like this is not a game in which you can ignore the dodging, the parrying, the counterattacks. You can mitigate it, but it's part of the core loop. And the timing on it, well, we can get into that. But explain to me how you've approached that and how it's worked out for you.
So the first thing I've started doing, well, one, I think if you're not a dodge parry person, but you're interested in good turn-based combat in a compelling story, you absolutely should still try this game. Like, do not let the dodge parry make it so that you don't want to go. And I think a lot of people have heard you have to dodge and parry, and they're like, I have to not play this game. No, you can play it. It's not that bad.
You don't have to parry.
You don't have to parry.
That's an important distinction because the difference in timing between the two of them won't feel like a lot at first, but you will discover over time that it's a gulf.
And I got the stats to prove it, baby. I'm just 800 dodges, 0 parry. Like, but genuinely, the tip I'd give for people, and the tip that has been given to me, it tells you when you do a perfect dodge, and if you can do a perfect dodge, you would be able to parry.
Correct.
Like the timing for the perfect dodge and the parry is the same. So a recommendation that has been tossed around is, if you're not comfortable parrying generally in games, focus on dodging, and when you start getting those perfect dodges in, it's time to graduate to, graduate to parrying at that point.
If you're playing the same enemies, right? Like, especially if you're,
Yes.
like, grinding or in an open world area. But, like, if you're at a boss and it's not, like, your 6th time at the boss, you know what I mean? Like, just dodge to get get a
Yes.
sense of the rhythm. And because the animations in this game are very Souls-like. Like, there's a lot of, like, winding and, like characters, like, moving in elongated fashions. And the game gives you, like, little hints, like, quick combo coming, which tells you, like, oh, you're going to go parry, parry, parry. But it's not the rhythm of, like, Sekiro at times felt like a music rhythm game. There was, like, where you could kind of close your eyes and, like, ding, 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 ding. Like, you're not going to do that here. You are, like, in Clair Obscur, you're watching the animation to time up your dodge and especially the parry because it's tied to the character animation, not to sort of a rhythm. And I would make that distinction between sort of the dodging and parrying that's present in an Elden Ring or a Dark Souls, which is very animation-based, and a Sekiro, which feels much more rhythm-based.
I think also the fact that then by nature of being a turn-based game, it's inherently easier in the sense that, like, you're dodging and parrying, like, whenever, like, your turn comes up, but you don't have to be doing that while also fighting. I think the challenge in, like, a game like Sekiro or any other, like, parrying game is, like, I'm hitting my combos and I'm also, like, dealing with the enemy at the same time. That turn-based nature does kind of slow it down where it's like you can, and you also see the turn order on the left side of the screen. So you're like, okay, after so-and-so goes, they're going to go. So it means it's time for me to lock in and do whatever I'm going to do. I also think the sound design, like, there aren't super big cues for the dodging and parrying. There isn't, like, a big, other than, like, when you have to jump, there's not, like, a big flash of light or anything like that, and there's no settings to allow that, which is, I kind of do wish they had, like, a little bit of a slider would be nice.
I think this game should have, like, all praise to Respawn. One of the really smart things they did with the Jedi games was, all right, we're going to follow From Software, we're going to make parrying and blocking an important core element of the gameplay. Some people are going to have trouble with that, and we're going to give you options to adjust, like parrying windows, parrying speed. Like, you can get into the minutia of that. This game should have a combination of visual indicators and I think an ability to alter the parrying window, even if it came with, like, items you're equipping in order to do that. Mm-hmm. And there's none of that here. And I say that mostly, even though I'm adjusting fine to the game, it sort of breaks my heart that there won't be more people that I think would like this game if it was just a tiny bit more forgiving, especially because this is a game where the parrying and dodging, it's critical to the momentum of the turn-based combat, but this game has so much else to offer. Like, it is not just like, man, good combat system.
Yeah.
Hope that's enough to, like, for you to enjoy the next 25 to 30 hours of the game, like it's a really good part of it, but I like so many other parts of it too that I just wish there were a few more options for people to adjust that to their liking.
I also do think the
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that the one thought I have is that it's not From Software that made this, so there is a chance that maybe they might include something like that in a future quality of life update in a way that From Software has made clear they're just not going to do.
Yeah.
So
I think I think too, it's just like inherently, it's like much easier than those games, and in part because of like the endurance is just different because it's turn based. But yeah, I find the dodging to be like fairly reasonable. They also allow for you to like double dodge, so if you dodge stupid early and you still have time to the dodge again, you could do it again. Which I will say, I wish they had a little bit more lax in terms of parry. If you parry, you said you parried and you can't like parry again, or you can't dodge after parrying. Like you committed to, you had your one parry, and there's only one per parry. You took your turn, so that's another factor of the game. But I think the sound design cues are actually quite good for figuring out like the dodging and parrying timing. So I'd recommend maybe even adjusting your sound settings to have the sound design be a little bit louder, because there are some
I'm
very
playing this on a Portal,
key.
often with like NBA basketball on, and so I don't have the sound is a lower priority. Don't worry,
I was
can hear
listening
the choral
to-
chanting.
I listened to. I turned off the OST at one point, which I know is egregious because some people really love that OST. I'm kind of like, I like some parts, I don't like other parts. And also the techno music in the middle. Anyway, whatever. I was listening to Origin of Symmetry when I was playing this game. Okay, I was listening to Muse Absolution, and honestly, it queued up really nicely with a lot of the moments. I gotta be honest with you.
That tracks. Yeah.
It actually fit. Like my fiance's like, is this not the soundtrack? I said, no, this is Muse. But it feels like the soundtrack. So yeah, I think that's actually, it's not a hellscape. But yeah, parrying is a bit harder because you do have to be more on it with the timing. And I've started to, now that I'm 17 hours in, I'm like, you know what? Let's go crazy. Let's try to do some of these parries. And I did an optional boss where you very much need to be parrying and dodging absolutely everything, because the optional stuff can be very hard. But again, it's optional. And I was able to do that, and that was like really good and satisfying. But honestly, like I think the dodge and parry, to me, it's a nice complement to the combat, but it's not the whole of the combat. To me, the whole of the combat is the synergy between the abilities and how good that synergy is. This is such a nerd game, and I love it for it, because I'm, you start off in it. It's a party-based game. One of the very early characters you get is it's like the third character you get, Mael, the little sister character.
My heart.
I love this character so much. The vibes, the personality, but also the abilities. Like and I want to clarify that I think on all your moves, it has explainers on what the moves are, and they're like pretty simple to understand. I did get a character later where the tutorial for the character had me wondering, like, what is that? And then when you played it felt a lot more natural.
Which is like you're deploying like the foretell.
The foretell.
Like, so I got through the
that tutorial was bad.
And the
tutorial was bad.
Time to go. I need to go find an IGN game guide that explains to me how this character.
What that tutorial felt like? It literally, back to the board game analogy. It literally felt like someone sat me down and said, "Hello, welcome to Clair Obscur Expedition 33." Like reading from a pamphlet. You have a character with foretell. Foretell dispels 3 dart. I'm like, I'm asleep. I'm confused. I'm asleep. I don't know what's going on. It's actually much simpler once you like start playing with that character. So I would recommend people give it a try. I think it explains it very well on the combat system.
But it feels like you're playing you are like,
yeah,
sort of like
well, you are
playing
putting cards down. Yes,
it's like, I mean, this entire game is about applying like buffs,
status effects, and buffs,
and like setting up chains of reactions, right? Like for example, like the character, is it Mael? Is that the name of
Yeah, Mael.
Yeah, she, her whole thing is stance changes, right? So it's like she has attacks like put her in like a defensive buff, where it's like her attacks are like 50% as powerful, but she takes 50% damage, and then she goes into a virtuoso stance where it's like any attack she does is plus 200 damage. But then you could also have a buff for that character that's an equipable buff. It's like, oh, they do bonus damage if a character is marked. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to make sure and set up this character before is going to mark that character, and the character before that is going to set them on fire, because I also have a buff that like gives me bonus damage from like fire, and then it's like boom, 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 9,999 damage, and you're like, hot damn, like that felt so good.
Yeah, you'll literally end up being a god if you, and I think it's very like learnable. I think there are some like issues I have with like the menu systems and like equipping and unequipping the Pictos is a little bit of a hellscape because there's so many of them. It's basically like it's the equivalent of like charms in other games, or like little flares, like is other terminology that people have used for it. But yeah, it's really great with when you find the character and system that works for you, and you kind of have maybe your star player where, yeah, Mael's kind of like my MVP for the team for like a long time. Like my first 15 hours was like all Mael, and I'm like, everyone like Mael, I'm like, this is the star player, and everyone else pass Mael the ball. Your job is to take care of Mael. She is it. But yeah, same deal where I had like an ability where she goes into virtuoso stance if she hits somebody that is burning. So it's like, okay, we're going to burn this enemy. Yeah. Then you go into virtuoso. Then I have an ability where you stay, it's like float fury, where you do extra damage and you stay in virtuoso stance afterwards, because you default to like stanceless otherwise, and like other moves
kind of like use up the stance as a result of the attack, and so it's a lot of like trying to think a move ahead on. Then
after I go into Parry, because that only costs 2 AP. It's less AP if you're in virtuoso stance. Ooh. And then it's like, this is my flow, and then it's like, I think there's also a lot of fun with I think the enemies and their movesets and attributes also adds to kind of increasing the like freshness of like the game, because there was a certain point of playing like maybe like 12 hours in where I'm like, I really love this combat, but at the end of the day, isn't it just filling up meters for all these characters? Like they're different meters, right? Or different things. Oh, for Mael, it's her stance. For, you know, Gustav, I forgot what he has. It's like
overcharge.
He fills up like overcharge, yeah.
Like
and that's the first character you have. For the other woman, it's like filling up she has like an emblem.
You cast
with like
a
colors.
Spell that gets you a stain, and a stain is like
the stains,
diamond, and then those become currency to augment other spells. So it's like, oh, if I cast this one, it creates red stains, and then I have another attack that if you have red stains, it's gonna
you can consume it, and yeah. So it's a lot of like fill and consume. So once I kind of clock that, I'm like, well. And maybe some of the newness has worn off, but right as that happened, like different enemies with different like putting you in different situations, I think makes the combat feel fresh. Like, so for instance, there's an area where there's a lot of enemies that have shield, which like, you know, if you have 3 shield, that means they have to get 3 times before you actually do damage to their meter. But then again, Mael enters the chat. She has breaking rules, which destroys all shields, and you get 1 AP per shield destroyed, which AP is what you need to like use different moves, and like some moves cost more, some moves cost less. And then if that enemy has defenseless on them, I get a second turn. So then the game became, okay, we're gonna figure out how to apply defenseless to these shielded enemies. Now the shield is actually like a thing I almost want to happen. Let them get shielded up. I'll get the AP from that. If they have defenseless, Mael also gets to go again, and she has like max AP now. So it's just, and again, I think all of this might sound kind of complicated if you're just like listening to it without the context, but it's all very easily gleamable, which I think is, or like understandable, which I think is really cool. And yeah, it's just really exciting. And I think I've been surprised with like, again, Mael was my MVP for like a very long time, and now, you know, maybe not as much. Maybe I found a new favorite. And the fact that I can even find that after so many hours of being like, no, I found the road to heaven, it's carved by, you know, Mael's steps, I think is really interesting and fun, and like the abilities are like very enticing, and I think the Pictos also can be very synergistic as well. There's one that I'm like, I got it, and I'm like, I'm never going to use this. It's it's called Perilous Parry, and it's like, I think parrying gives you an extra thing of AP, like 2 AP instead of 1, but you take 50% more damage. I'm like, why would I ever put this on? But then there's another one where you take 50% less damage, but you can't heal your character. So obviously there is a con there, but I'm like, if I put these 2 together, I'm not healing anyway at this point in the game, because I'm just kind of, you know, with small encounters, I just haven't felt as much of a need to heal now that I'm like 16 hours in. Before I was kind of healing everybody all the time, and like I love healing in games. I'm very into like
Well, and you
healing
get to press a button to
everything.
make the heal. Like it's a very active game where like there are,
Yeah.
button prompts that you can. Like every action is going to occur, it'll just occur better or more powerful if you hit the prompts alongside it. And those prompts are in visually in different parts of the screen. Kind of feel like they operate at different speeds and frequencies based on the attack and the character. Did you come across the Picto, which is just a perk or a charm, called Roulette?
I did. I haven't had good luck with that.
And when the virtuoso hit, so Roulette, the way Roulette works is every hit has a 50% chance to either be half damage or 200% damage. And that is just worth the risk for me, like on any sort of attack, because if I get her set up in her virtuoso stance, I have a chance for a 200% attack to go for 200% more. And the way it's so funny the way you get this, you come across, you get this little very charming. How would you describe these creatures?
They remind me a lot of the Goron from Zelda, but like doofier, and they're kind of like wooden.
Even doofy.
They're like
Goron
wooden little guys.
Wooden little guys, yes. And there's one person over there who's like, the future of our society is jazz and gambling. Like,
literally. This is like not literally word for word, but it's close. Like, this game is way funnier than I expected it to be. It's very absurd.
Is really, really good. And you go to the back, and the casino is still under construction. I don't know if that is like something that will evolve later in the game or not. But either way, you go in the back, and there's like a door you can knock on. And like the question that's like someone on the other side basically asks is like, I want to ask your thoughts on gambling. It's like, if like every time you did an action, you had a 50% chance for it to be double what it was. Like, what does that mean for your subsequent actions over time? It's like, do you have a better chance over the long term, a lower chance over the long term? And there's three options. It's like, so I was like, oh, I guess, or this, a better over the long term, lower over the long term, same, or I don't care. And if you answer better over the long term, lower over the long term, or same, he refuses to give you the item. And if you say, I don't care because gambling is fun, he gives you the item so that you can then equip it to your character. The writing is I think really, really good in this game.
Same.
And especially the humor. Like, I think it's a very understatedly funny game that also is like very well aware that people are going to do the ha. Like, you fight a mime in this game. These are like regular sorts of enemies that you come across every once in a while that drop, I think, mostly just cosmetics. But like the one I fought most recently, like you get like you drop a bag, like you can equip your character with a baguette.
Yeah. They have baguettes on their backs and little berets.
So good.
That they have like, and they look very French, and it's very cute. There's also a lot of like dumb cosmetics in this game, which is great. Like, I love a dumb cosmetic, like, and cosmetics stay on for the cutscenes.
It's game, and yet all the cosmetics are like, I don't know, you want to wear like a two-piece bathing suit?
Also,
Okay.
the bathing suit for Gustav is wild. Have you put that thing on?
I haven't.
Because, oh my God. Put the kids to bed, because this man, let me send you a picture. I have a
Stop,
picture
you
of this.
also mean
For work.
Robert Pattinson?
For work. I took this picture for work. Yeah, like everyone is hot as hell in this game, except the kid, which thank God, finally, a new trend in RPGs. Don't be weird with the kid. The kid is just doing her own thing. Yeah, hold on, let me find this photo, which I know it's not good audio content, but did I delete it? Maybe no, I have it here. Hold on. Okay. This man is, what is going on? I sent it in Discord. This man is packing cocaine.
Holy shit.
Like, I didn't make the game, I just played.
Lord.
I'm like, is this my Stellar Blade? Like, what is this? Yeah, everyone's hot, everyone's flirting with everybody. Headcanon, Gustav's sleeping with everyone on this team, you know, like that, except for his sister, obviously. Like, everyone hooked up before, you know, it's the end of times. You can just feel it. Oh my God, the energy is electric between these characters. What are you talking about?
We all got 1 year left to live. Like,
Yeah,
Right? That's-
you know.
that's- It's
You
like
told me they
it's
didn't
like everyone's
hook up with the
graduating.
expedition leader. It's like, proximity romance. Hello, hello. Anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had. There's like, I forgot the name of that one guy, the big guy who lets you like explore more. He was like in the trailers. There's like a lot of cute, funky charm here. But Patrick, I have to know, did you do any of the platforming challenges? Because like the
So
platforming
bad.
in this
There's
game,
it's
No,
it's
okay, but-
insulting. It's insulting.
okay. Did you do any of the so
I've
to
done
be
all
clear,
of them because I consider it
Okay.
a personal dare. I was like, I feel like you made
Yeah.
this feel so bad.
I want to
And,
reach
like,
out to the team and ask them about this so bad. If anyone has a contact, let me
You
know.
must be specifically
How bad
talking.
is
The
it?
first one you encounter is where you, I think, get this bathing suit. You go to this beach.
Yes.
And they're like, hey, there's like a, there's a guy at the end of this little, platforming area. And it doesn't feel good to, it's not a game where the movement on the world map feels particularly good, but it doesn't matter. And the jumping feels like every time
Strange.
you press it, it's like, is there like did I turn off game mode on my TV? Like, why does it feel so late when it happens? And then the game goes, you know what you should do? You should have to navigate a bunch of very tiny logs and then jump between them, and there's going to be a bunch of circles, and you're going to jump
It's a
between
parkour
those.
challenge.
And there's no way to properly line up. Like, it's all leaps of faith, and just, I hope to God I make it to the other side. And I think one of the first evenings I had with this game, I came across this, and it was 11:45. It's usually when I wind down, turn off stuff, go to bed, and I kept dying. It was like, fuck you, game. You don't have me. I mean, you do. I'm now a prisoner. I've decided that I'm going to complete this awful platforming challenge. And like 20 minutes later, I did. I felt good about it, but not good about it. And I'm with you. They have to know how bad it is.
I bet my whole life they know. There's no way they don't know.
Because they're only hiding like optional sort of goofy items behind it, it seems. And it does feel like it's the game. Like in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, the hardest challenge in that game has a pair of pants behind it. And it didn't feel like that was a joke. That feels like that was kind of just an oversight by the developers after I chatted with them. I didn't get a sense that it was like, ha ha ha, like we got you, like just a pair of pants. It's like, maybe we should have put a better reward for that challenge. Here,
Like, what's there? Pants?
I didn't expect anyone to do that.
I didn't think anyone would go
Here,
over there. My bad.
It feels very much like, okay, like if you want to do this, and if I want to extrapolate further, I don't think this is true. Is this a meta commentary on, like, look, we saw what you motherfuckers did in Rebirth. Oh, Square Enix, when they make an awful mini game, you'll just do it. You'll sign up and say, this is part of how these games feel and what they're supposed to do. You know what? Here's some squishy, awful, floaty platforming. Like, Godspeed, try to get to the end. And I did, and I'll probably do it every time they ask me to.
Did you do the always up
I was
one?
gonna specifically ask about. Did you play 15? Final Fantasy 15?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Did you ever engage with the notoriously horrible like end game thing that is dungeon that has like a bunch of random platforming in it at the very end?
I lost
I've
interest
heard
in 15.
legends of that thing.
Like 10 hours in, and then just played another 35 hours of it against
Right.
the better judgment. So no, I didn't come across that.
I wonder how much of it is possibly a reference given the obvious sort of like through line from like JRPGs to this
There's
game.
a decent
That's so funny.
decent number, or often enough. Usually it's the optional stuff where like you'll go off the forward path and you can tell, oh, this is like a contained room with an item at the end. That's almost always where they're keeping the awful platforming. At least that's been my experience, Shannon. I'm not sure if it's different any later in the game.
I did see there's the platform in this game is so fascinating because I think I do think it's inherently bad. Like it feels bad, it's confusing, it's slippery, you like zoop around a lot, and then there's not
It doesn't feel like your fault when you mess up, which is like one of the most critical elements of a platformer is you can fail, you can fall, but it should feel like, I didn't do that right. And like almost and I never do this. I'm like, that was the game's fault. That one's not on me, Gustav. Like, not on me.
Here's the thing though. My hot take is that the platforming in this game is bad. When you're like, I have a clip that I'll try to pull up for y'all to just look at of platforming like in the actual like level where I'm trying to get like a Picto, and you have to jump on like 3 pillars, and the movement looks like I am drunk, like I'm wildly drunk because I'm just sort of slipping and sliding around, and then I have to and then mind you, I have to go all the way around and up for like 30 seconds to try again. And again, these are things where I'm like, I feel like the level design is not this game's strength for like reasons like that. But actually, I would say the platforming challenges are good actually because they're supposed to be bad. It is in the vein of they're like, we saw that y'all love this always up, this chain together, this asset hellscape nonsense of slippery physics. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, Game of Sisyphus? Does Mr. Game of Sisyphus doesn't want to jump on the slippery logs? We know you do. We know you do. And I actually think it's good there because it's designed for that. And I think they do push, obviously, and in the fact that you're fighting the physics a little bit is part of the fun. But to me, those platforming challenge areas, it's like the developers sort of acknowledging that the platforming is bad, giving you a challenge, but then it's still like much more doable than I think if they... And that's why I think the level design platforming is so much worse, because it's made as if the platforming is capable and it's not. But they made these hellscapes knowing how uncapable the platforming is. And I think that's what that's kind of what makes them hit.
So now
and I love them, and they're great, and I think they're funny for doing this. And I think more games should say, this is the worst thing we did. What if we made a whole thing around that? Because it's like it's giving self-aware. it's giving we know our strengths and we know our weaknesses. And I Am Beautiful, Hear Me Roar, and I'm like, yep, I like this actually. There's an Always Up one that I'm so excited to do. Because it's bad in a good way. Because it's supposed to be bad. Well, in the level, it's not supposed to be bad. It just is. Here, it's meant to be bad. And they're like, get ready to die a lot. And I'm like, I was born ready. You know, this is great. This is the juice of life here. This bad platforming. So, but yeah.
Great game.
It's very strong. Is it like, Patrick, where does it sit for you with
This is going to
the
be,
games you played so far
if
this
it
year?
continues on this trajectory, this is like a top 3 game for me by the end of the year. Easy.
Same.
Easy.
It honestly might be my current game of the year, which is kind of wild to say because I do
Driving
think
has
it
fallen.
is. I do think Keep Driving has fallen. I do think I like this more than Keep Driving, even though this is more flawed than Keep Driving. Like, I've never loved a game so heavily that I had so many things to complain about. Maybe this is what people felt when they liked Rebirth. I don't know, but can't relate. But yeah, like it is just so good at what it's good at that I don't mind that I don't know where to go and what to do in this game. It's like literally, I don't want to say it's all I can think about. That's a little dramatic, but I was genuinely looking at my calendar and saying, could I not work for like a chunk of a day and just play more of this game? Like, I have been feasting on this. It's all I want to go back to. It's like, this is the only thing that, and I felt very strongly about Blueprints as well, but this has been the thing where I'm like, Blueprints, like, you're off to the side until I beat this game. Like, I didn't think another game would grab me in that way because I was so invested in Blueprints already, and I'm so far into that game that it seems dumb to switch over to anything else. But oh my god, I can't get enough of this. It's so fantastic, despite I think the areas that it has for growth. But it definitely makes me feel like I want more from this team too, because I think if they didn't have the problems that they do have from like my perspective, this would be like truly an all-timer RPG. But as is, it's kind of like a notch below that, but that's still very high. I'm loving it. Can't wait to play more.